You are Krishna himself, so, appearing as Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani, and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Varnam Pisha Krishnam Sangapangostra Parshadam Yagnai Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Sumedasa. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Sastra Vicharnai Kanipunau Shadadharma Samstapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhuane Manyau Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Ananden Mattarikahu Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakahu. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are engaged in the transcendent loving service of Shri Radha and Krishna and absorbing the mood of the gopis. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narom Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Jai Shri Govindam Adi Purusham Tamam Bhajami. Hare Krishna everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All Guru Krishna Prabhupada. Welcome back. So, by the causeless mercy of our Guru Parampara, a disciplic succession, we just completed Sri Madhurya Kadambini yesterday, and today we are about to embark on this new course, Sri Jaiva Dharma, who the author is Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So normally when we begin, we recap the previous lesson, but since yesterday Madhurya Kadambi's last lesson that we did, and generally recapping is done for the primary purpose of for the continuing lesson that we are not doing. So I think we will sort of go straight forward to introducing this new course, Sri Jaiva Dharma. But before that, we will seek the mercy and blessings of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And traditionally we do by praying and paying our obeisances at the Samadhi that's in India. So let me share my PowerPoint with you. Here is the picture of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and that's his book, Sri Jaiva Dharma. Sri Jaiva Dharma, what is the meaning? The author says it is the essential function of the soul, spirit soul. So this is a 48 lesson, and generally all of my courses, I develop this particular approach to study. It's a thematically structured study plan that I'll share with you. It's a 48 lesson, and we anticipate, so today's launching date, July 15, that is here in the US. For all of you, it is July 16. And we will go all the way until November 3, assuming there are no breaks in between. So the lead instructor is myself, and you may call me Charu. And my associate instructor, that is His Grace Sharad Bihari Das Prabhu, which you see him right there. He has been assisting me in the conduct of various courses, and he has been with me for quite a few years now. But last couple of years, he has been assisting me in the conduct of the course. So this is Srila Prabhupada, of course. So Sri Jaiva Dharma, the essential function of the soul, the author is that. This is the same picture again, but main purpose showing here. So today is the first lesson. Here in the US, it is July 15. Over there, most of you in Asia, it is July 16. And so today is the auspicious inauguration. So I would also give you some introductory outline, and then we'll have a preview of this thematic plan of study. So before we get into the course, let us also go through a very brief biographical sketch of the author Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who appeared on this planet in 1838 until 1940. So it is, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur revealed that he is an eternal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by his extraordinary preaching activities and prolific writing that we will just, I'll share with you some few of the examples. So he wrote some 100 authorized spiritual books. And remember, these 100 books he wrote, in addition to many, many prayers, poems, he had a regular job. He was serving as the judge, a very well-learned personality judge. He was a great devotee. He discovered the appearance place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's the biggest contribution. And he introduced many, many very, very innovative preaching approaches. And beside books, as I said, he wrote hundreds of poems and songs in the glorification of the Lord. A few examples that we saw sung by Samata Mataji and Raksha Mataji. And assuming they will probably continue that. He's also honored, considered to be the seventh Goswami of Vrindavan, after the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, that you're all familiar with that, because of his prolific writings, a great contribution that he has done, exactly in the same tradition of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. So, and he had a big family actually. While maintaining a Krishna conscious family, he served as the High Court judge. I'm not sure it's a High Court judge, but he was a judge nonetheless. After a full day of government service, he would sleep just about 3 to 4 hours. And I will share with you a brief summary of his daily routine. And so he used to get up at midnight and write until the wee hours of morning. And that was his daily routine. Let me share with you here, since we are talking about that routine. He used to sleep barely 3 hours, just a typical day, and he would write about 8 to 9 hours. And then he would do his japa and study his own study for about 4 to 5 hours, and then continue work. And he's, remember, on the top of his daily work, serving as the judge for about 6 hours. So really, just 3 hours of sleep only, So he dedicated his entire life in preaching Krishna consciousness. So living as a Mahabhagavata Vaishnava, he stayed as Grihastha. In fact, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the grand spiritual master for all of us. Grand actually, great grand, right? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's son is Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, who is the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. And many of us actually are the disciples of Srila Prabhupada's disciple, like myself. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a great grand disciple, our spiritual master, a very veneered spiritual master, a great acharya in the line of Sri Gaudiya Sampradaya. And so he stayed as Grihastha until the last few years of his life, while totally absorbed in the service of his deities, Gaura, Gadadhara, and Radha Madhava. He took initiation from Sri Vipina Bihari Goswami in the line of Sri Janava Mata, followed by spiritual inspiration and direction from Srila Jagannath Das Babaji. He remained prideless, very humble personality, and fully satisfied whatever he was doing. Never spoke a word that would hurt another's feelings. Very important trait that we ought to emulate. In the mood of innovation, in 1896, he sent to the universities around the world. He was a great scholarly person, obviously. So he sent all major universities of the world at the time a book of slokas, Sri Gauranga Leela, and to let the world know who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which had a 47-page English introduction. See Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his life and precepts. He made 3 predictions, and they all turned out to be on the dot in the personality of Srila Prabhupada. He predicted the appearance of Srila Prabhupada many years before even Prabhupada appeared. And that is a divine revelation, a phenomenon. A personality, he said, a personality will soon appear, and he will travel all over the world to spread the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's exactly what Srila Prabhupada did. By the order of his spiritual master, the son of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. Very soon, the chanting of the Harinam Sankirtana will be spread all over the world. Now we have something like over 400 temples all around the world. Prabhupada established in his time 108 temples in all major cities of the world. That is the prediction of a great Acharya, a great personality, great Mahabhagavata is always on the dot, turn out exactly right. Third point, he predicted long before actually that happened, the fair-skinned foreigners, Europeans, the Americans, will come to the Sri Mayapur Dham and join with the Bengali Vaishnavas to chant Hare Krishna and dance along with them. And that's exactly we see these days. All these different foreigners, they come and dance, and many of them themselves become spiritual masters thanks to this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the origin of the Krishna conscious movement in its pure form, and this is actually said by Srila Prabhupada himself. In 1914, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur disappeared. And that is a disappearance day in Sanskrit. It's called Tirobhava Tithi of Sri Gadadhar Pandit in Kanchi of Srimati Radharani. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur entered the eternal pastimes of Gaura Gadadhara and Radha Madhava. In Radha Madhava's Nitya Vraja Leela, actually all these great acharyas, they are no ordinary people, just as Rupa Goswami was a Rupa Manjari, here Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the Kamala Manjari in Krishna Leela. Manjaris are the ones who serve the Sakhis of Srimati Radharani and Srimati Radharani herself in serving. In fact, they serve much more confidentially than even the Sakhis. When Radha and Krishna meet in the different kunja in Vrindavan, the only were the manjaris who would assist the divine couple. So his Pushpa Samadhi, now shortly I'll show the picture also. Pushpa Samadhi of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is in the Bhajana Kutir at Radha Kunda, that is in Vrindavan. So this is his Samadhi that you see right now here. Samadhi of Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the Swananda Sukhanda Kunja, that is right, as we saw in the previous slide, is near Radha Kunda. On the right side is the Murti of Sri Krishnadas, the dedicated servant of His Divine Grace. So every course that I did in the last over 25 years, this has been my tradition. Just before we conduct the course on the auspicious inauguration day, I humbly request all of us, we pay our most respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of such great souls, Samadhi, and take and hoping for their mercy and their blessings so that we can successfully complete this course. So what I request all of you, this is Pranam Mantra. So we all chant this Pranam Mantra ourselves wherever you are, as I will chant here, okay? But chant silently, okay? Everybody will be chanting loudly, that will be difficult. So I'm going to recite the mantra, and then all of you individually at your place silently repeat after me, okay? Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Rupanuga Varayate. Again, Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchid Ananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate. Translation: I offer, and you repeat after me, okay? I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinoda. Repeat after me. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinoda, who is transcendental energy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is transcendental energy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a strict follower of the 6 Goswamis, headed by Srila Rupa Goswami. Again, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a strict follower of the 6 Goswamis, headed by Srila Rupa Goswami. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So now the introductory outline. Remember, it's just an outline. I'm not going to go deeper into that. We will go through the lessons. We'll learn more about it. Okay? So what is Sri Jaiva Dharma? The question might arise, right? Dharma means actually, it's not religion necessarily, it's duty, So what is the duty of the soul actually, basically? The constitutional functional role of the Jiva that we are, or the soul. And this Jaiva Dharma that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote in 1893, over 100 years ago, actually. And it was originally a Bengali text penned by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And shortly I'll show you the reference book that we will use is basically the translation of this Bengali text. So the word Jivana, which means life. Jivana comes from Jiva, meaning one who has life. It is the philosophical treatise. So basically what is Jaiva Dharma? There are no verses, okay? It's really in a novel format, a fictional novel format. And it is really a philosophical dialogue taking place on this Gaudiya Vaishnava principle, Siddhanta, in a fictional story format with extensive dialogues between a teacher and his students. So we will see here the principal character who serves as a teacher. The main character throughout the book is this Paramhamsa. What is Paramhamsa? The swan-like personality, or the topmost swan-like devotee of the Supreme Lord. And that principal character's name here is Sri Premadas Babaji. So this is the Babaji traditions, okay? And he's a great personality. We are beginning next week, lesson 2. You will learn a lot more deeper about this great personality, Sri Premadas Babaji. It's a fictional character, obviously. He's always overwhelmed with pure ecstatic love, and his worship of Lord Krishna is beyond comprehension, beyond the understanding by the common mass of people. He was that kind of personality, okay? And that's being introduced to us by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur as the author. So that is the principal character. So and every day he used to read from Sri Prema Vivarta, and that course I was inspired to conduct that course exactly reading from Sri Jaiva Dharma, Prema Vivarta. So he did not study every day other like Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad like that, but just why Prema Vivarta? So that is I was intrigued, and that's why I decided to conduct the course, and that is what just before we did Madhurya Kadambini, we did this Prema Vivarta, and that is the one we learned so much about the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, and because that was done by the direct disciple, direct associate, confidential associate of Srila Bhakti, Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagadananda Prabhu. So this particular personality, this principal character in this story, Premadas Babaji, is to daily recite from this Prema Vivarta in order to get inspired by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, like that. Okay. So one day, what happened while he was engaged in his daily routine, this Sri Premadas Babaji was a Paramhamsa devotee, the topmost echelon of sannyasi, so he himself was visited while he was engaged in his morning routine by another sannyasi, also Paramhamsa sannyasi, but not a Vaishnava sannyasi, but in the line of Mayavad philosophy, okay, whose main main kind of belief is that the absolute truth, the supreme, is impersonal, Nirakar Nirguna, who does not have a form and who does not have qualities. Of course, Srila Prabhupada later on explained to us when so it's an impersonal depiction of the absolute truth, and of course that is propounded by the again the great personality that you all know. That is what we came to understand later on, but who himself was a great devotee of Krishna, because who composed this Bhaja Govindam, right? But his teaching was impersonal monist philosophy, okay? And who is actually the incarnation of Lord Shiva, and the amazing thing, this monist philosophy is severely criticized in our Gaudiya Sampradaya throughout the commentary by Srila Prabhupada and even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so much criticized, but the personality was such great. In this book, Sri Jaiva Dharma, we will learn in just very early on, he glorifies this great personality, Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya, if you read his life biography, he was again no ordinary personality himself, but he propounded this monist philosophy that the absolute truth is impersonal. So this particular sannyasi was from that school, okay? So he was trained to believe in this impersonal aspect, but his personal life, as we will see, this particular sannyasi who was visiting Premadas Babaji was a kind of a disillusioned, when he met the Vaishnavas, and he himself was looking, really looking forward some personal aspect of the absolute, Actually, that is what happened to me. In the very early years, I spent 6 years in studying the Vedas and Upanishads Um, and I was also kind of disappointed. I was looking some personal aspect of the Supreme Lord, so this is same thing happened. So this sannyasi now disillusioned and heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so much because he directly saw how the great Vaishnavas, they were dancing in great ecstasy, and he wanted to experience that ecstasy. So that is when he was inspired to come to this ashrama. Then we will see the description of this ashrama in near Mayapur Dham. Okay, so we'll see a detailed description of that and some pictures also. So, and then he was greatly inspired to take shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Prabhudas Babaji. So we will hear almost nearly half the book is the interaction taking place between Prabhudas Babaji and this sannyasi, originally from Mayavad philosophy, but then he himself became Vaishnava. In fact, he was later initiated by Prabhudas Babaji as Vaishnava Das. We will see that. But I'm just giving you upfront what to look forward. So a great dialogue taking place, how this particular sannyasi, visiting sannyasi, was completely transformed into become a very dedicated great Vaishnava by the association of this great personality, Shri Premadas Babaji. So later and then later half of the book, we will see another couple of devotees, namely Vijay Kumara and Brajanath Prabhu, visit the Babaji with many questions and discuss the nature of the ecstatic symptoms, the transcendental emotion, the rasas that we discuss in so many different courses, right? We discussed originally in one of the 6 sandarbhas, the Priti Sandarbha, the last one by Shri Jaiva Goswami. We also discussed in Shri Ujjwal Nilamani. We also discussed in Shri Radha Tattva and most recently in Madhurya Kadambini, right? But here we are again going to get into very, very deep learning of these different rasas, anubhavas, Vyabhichari bhavas, like that. All these rasas we will study in great detail. So by this time, after we go through that, we should be thorough in our understanding of this. And Sri Rupa Goswami is the rasacharya. And of course, the embodiment of all this rasa is Sri Lord Sri Krishna himself, the Akhil Rasamurti. So all these 5 main kinds of rasas, namely Shantarasa, Dasarasa, Sakhya-rasa, Vatsalya-rasa, and finally the topmost is the Madhurya rasa. So we'll learn all these things. So, and the whole book is in this question answer format. Initially, this sannyasi, visiting sannyasi, asking questions, probing questions to Premadas Babaji, and Premadas Babaji would enlighten him. And later, the other 2 that we will see. Enlighten the reader on the entire philosophy of the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So by that time, we should learn, and we should be thorough in completely and the entire Siddhanta principles of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. The author elaborates, author who? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, on the philosophy. So now we are going to, I'm sharing with you the scope of this book and of course our course, and it's a very broad range of subject matter has been discussed in this book. So many fundamentals of Sri Bhaktivinoda, of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings that we will learn, such as this Dasamula Tattva, which is actually Sambandha Jnana, Abhideya, and Prayojana. Prayojana means the ultimate goal of the living entity, and that is to develop, cultivate Krishna Prema. And what is the process? Devotional service, and that is Abhideya. And what is the jnana or the relationship between us and the Supreme? That is Sambandha Jnana. So that we'll learn about this Dasamula Tattva and also the 10 foundational tenets of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta propounded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then given a scriptural foundation by the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. So the book summarizes in this question of answer format, very interestingly, explains the essential elements of Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Srila Rupa Goswami, Ujjwal Nilamani. All these courses we have done already. Explain. So what the 3 sciences? Tattva means science of Bhagavat, both the great our Shri Krishna and the devotees also called Bhagavata. Bhagavat Tattva, the science of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, the Jiva Tattva, we the living entities, and the science of the spirit soul, and the Shakti Tattva, there is the feminine, the science of the feminine divine energy of the Supreme Personality Godhead. So all these 3 aspects that we will study. So you can see it's a very, very comprehensive teachings, and a wide range of subject matter is being discussed in this book. That's why 48 lessons, very comprehensive course. So I was going to give but every one of you who have been with me for so many courses and years, you're all familiar with myself, so you don't need. But there are 2 new devotees are joining Sri Jaiva Dharma course. Prahlad Prabhu, who is from the US, and Krishna Bhavana Mataji, she's from Taiwan. I'm not sure whether they're there today or not.
I'm there, Prabhuji. Dhanvat Pranam.
Oh, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Welcome back. Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. I'm requesting all my fellow devotees to warmly welcome you on board.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
So this introduction is for you and Mataji, okay? Because everyone else is quite familiar with me. I'm a disciple of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. And so by profession, I'd been a scientist for 50 plus years. Here in the US, I worked at the National Institute of Health and Food and Drug Administration. So I was, my subject matter was molecular genetics. Principally, initially was a cancer genetics, then microbiology, viruses, including HIV, and so on like that. So I won't go into that. But mainly I'm focusing on my spiritual pursuit, okay? So in 2020, given my scientific background, research background, and also at the time, I've been practicing Krishna consciousness for the past 35 years or so, approximately. Okay. So because of my interest, science and Krishna consciousness, I developed a hypothesis, okay? The epigenetics of the Krishna consciousness, Prema Bhakti. So then I decided to write a book, which I'm in that process. So in order to silence my critics, this is a very, very controversial subject matter, because I'm going to be attacked 2-pronged by the devotee community as well as the scientists, So I decided to have an academic degree. So in 2020, I did a master's degree from the University of Edinburgh, Scotland. Okay. And then, and of course, recently I published a book also. in 2023, which is really the manuscript I wrote 25 years ago. And I was seeking initiation from my spiritual master at the time, 25 years ago. He kept on saying that I was not ready, you know. So and that time, unfortunately, I suffered a heart attack, you know. So it was very, very important for me to seek spiritual initiation. So in order to convince my would-be spiritual master, I wrote this manuscript. Actually, how to seek spiritual initiation from a guru, that is basically all about. But it gives also a synopsis of this absolute knowledge. So that is why this book is there, you know, and just got published. You can get this book from Amazon.com.
Okay.
And then also, just in this year, I made the list of who's who in America because of my humble contribution, both in science as well as spirituality. So now I'm pursuing my second PhD based on my hypothesis. I'm hoping the topic of my PhD thesis, and I got admitted at the University of California in Berkeley. Okay, and there is a place called the Graduate Union from there. Okay, but recently I suffered 2 more heart attacks, so I took a semester off now. We'll see what Krishna desires. So the hypothesis is on the epigenetics of Prema Bhakti, scientifically how we can demonstrate the Krishna consciousness of the Prema Bhakti. And I've been conducting these online courses for the last 25 years. I was trained at the in Vrindavan, VIHE, and also at Mayapur. Over there, I did my Bhakti Shastra and Bhakti Vaibhav courses. And that's when I started, when I was in Tokyo on my sabbatical year. And so we did a lot of courses, almost all the major courses in Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, beginning with these Bhakti Shastra books, Bhagavad Gita, and you know all the Bhakti Shastra books. Then we did all the 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, all the 9 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Laghu Bhagavatamrita. It's a long list, really. So I won't bore into it. Let me go ahead. Recently, we just, as I told you, we just completed Madhurya Kadambini, and now we are getting into this Jaiva Dharma. We did Gopal Tapani Upanishad also, Radha Tattva, Mana Shiksha, all the 6 Sandarbhas, like that. So here is the reference book that I'm going to focus on, this particular book, okay? This is the latest book, 2021. Of course, the book was written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as I told, in 1893, okay? It was in Bengali text. So this is the translation of the book. There are no commentaries available. So there are 3 books actually. 2019, the other one is 1989. So this is the most recent one. So I'm using this book as my textbook. Okay, but basically all these 3 books there are no commentaries. They're just translations done by 3 different personalities. This particular book, which I'm following, was translated by late Kushakurta Das Prabhu. And this center book that is here, published in 2019, is His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj. And this book, 1989, was translated originally from Bengali to Hindi by His Holiness Narayan Swami Maharaj. And then that Hindi translation was further translated into English by one of the Gaudiya Vaishnava, a Gaudiya Vaishnava personality, topmost personality. But so basically, there's not much difference in all three books. They're all translation. Different personalities they uses different way. But this book I'm following is 2021 because this is the latest one. Okay. So let's take a short break before we do a preview. Okay, I will. And this is what we generally do, Prabhuji. So initially we did Kirtana, then we do this class for about an hour or so. And then I make every effort, both myself and my associate, Sharat Prabhuji. And I forgot to ask him to introduce himself. So right after this break, I'll ask him to introduce briefly before we do the preview. Sharat Prabhuji, please be ready to give a brief introduction, okay? Right after the break.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Is Krishna Bhavana Mataji is here? She's from Taiwan. Looks like she's not here. Hopefully she'll show up next week.
May I speak, Prabhuji? Pradhan speaking from.
Yeah, please, Prabhuji, please. Yes,
Prabhuji. Yeah. Unfortunately, because I was enrolled in another course here in DeLand, Florida, I could not attend your other classes. But today I found time, and I had put on my calendar that I'll make sure that I join your class today. So fortunately, I could because of, and although late, but I did join your class, and I wish to continue as and when possible, because there is a lot of crash course going on, about 7-8 hours of studies every day and exams and everything for 6 weeks like that. They are covering the whole Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Instruction, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and Ishopnisad. So various sannyasis, Prabhus are coming, Swamijis, and going to teach us like that. But usually I am free by 8 p.m., so I'll be able to join your classes, Prabhuji. So, I'm really interested in learning Jaiva Dharma.
Prabhuji, may I say, make statement, some very frank, honest statements, because you are doing this Bhakti Shastra itself is a very comprehensive course. A lot of studies, a lot of homework assignments they give, all these things.
Right.
And we are doing this very advanced course. Also, a lot of studies there too, as you can see from the PowerPoint that I shared with you. It's going to be extremely difficult for you to, because you will not be doing justice to either of these two if you're going to attempt to do this too. So I would recommend that you focus on one. Okay, so now focus on Bhakti Shastri, and then maybe in the future you can join our courses. I'm going to retire pretty soon. This is probably going to be my last course, but my associate Sharat Prabhuji is going to continue. So,
but I had one request, Prabhuji. Is it possible somehow to obtain these PPTs which you are?
Okay, let me. I know you. Let me, because you did express that desire in your email. But Prabhuji, as you know, I've been teaching this for 25 years, and I had literally hundreds of students came and go. Many of them dropouts, and most of them, they are interested in my PPTs only. They are never interested to continue attending the classes. And I'm thoroughly disgusted by that approach, Now, you could be a very honest personality, but I've been, see in Gujarati, you must be Gujarati, right, Patel?
I'm a Gujarati, I'm a retired physician, Prabhuji.
So, I'm a Gujarati too, So, Gujarati,
આપણે
ગુજરાત કહેવત છે ને, જે દૂધથી દાજ્યો હોય, ગરમ દૂધથી, એ પણ છાસ one who is burnt by the hot milk, he would drink even this
Right.
buttermilk with great
Right, right.
caution. So I've been burnt very
I know.
badly
Right.
by a lot of these
I see. Okay,
very,
no
very
problem.
dishonest,
No problem.
dishonest personalities.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to share my PowerPoints with you.
No problem. No problem.
I never beat around the bush. I come right in
Okay.
front. If you're
No, that's
sincere
barabar.
in attending my classes, then you're welcome.
Right. Okay, no problem. Okay, Bhagwan Krishna ની ઈચ્છા બલી એસી કેવલ ઈશ્વર ઈચ્છા આપણે કહેલું છે બલી એસી કેવલમ.
But you're welcome to join after you complete your Bhakti Shastra, you're right?
Okay, no problem. We'll do that, Prabhuji. But today at least I want to continue.
Yes, sure, please.
Sharing
please,
your class.
Please.
Yeah.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, that's right, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Very good.
So, okay, this is a preview with the tentative class schedule also. A series of slides will be there. And we'll go very quickly. So this is the questions are there. It's given in this book actually. Some fundamental questions, okay? So this gives some scope of the course also. And also it's exemplify a very, very broad scope. So many different subject matters are going to be discussed in this book. What is the eternal nature of the soul, Nitya Dharma? Is there a unifying concept that is the basis of all religious teachings? And some controversial subject matter is taken handle in this question, like the Muslim Dharma, how they talk about and sometimes criticize us also. That is also been answered here. Why have I come into this material world? What is the difference between God and me? So some of these questions we already know the answer based on taking part in the different courses, But we will see the perspective of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this regard. Fifth, our logic and intelligence, which is on a material platform, also sufficient to understand transcendental subject matters? We all know the answer, right? Material logic doesn't work. Sixth question, what is the process for awakening my spiritual awareness, abhideya, that we are going to learn? Seventh question, what is the description of the spiritual realm, description of the abode of Shri Krishna? And the final, eighth question, what are the activities of God, Krishna, and the liberated souls, and what is the super excellent quality of their loving exchanges? So as we progress through the course, we will get the answer. And what I would suggest, you keep a diary, and when you come across the answers to this question, so that is your open book exercise at the end of the course. I'll ask you the answers. So here, there are 40 chapters in this book, and we will do in 48 lessons, okay? Today is, of course, lesson 1, the inauguration, introductory outline, and of course, this brief preview. So this particular book that I'm following divides into 4 broad categories or parts or divisions. One, Nitya Dharma, or the transcendental Dharma, Jiva's Dharma, soul's Dharma, duties, versus Naimitika Dharma. What is Naimitika Dharma? Or that which is on a material platform, okay, which is temporary in nature. Second division is this Dasamula Tattva that I talked to you about regarding Sambandha Jnana, Abhideya, and Prayojana, the 10 principles, fundamental principles on the philosophy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so that is second division. Third division is Sri Nama Tattva, very important for all of us who are part of this Vaishnava Sampradaya. Okay, principles of Harinam. So other book, the second division and third division are combined together. So there are a total of 3 only, basically same. The 4th division is this Rasa Tattva in great details, and that all of us, we already studied from Priti Sandarbha, Shri Ujjwal Nilamani, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and all this. Okay? So that we will do that. So division 1 and 4 I'll be doing, and division 2 and 3 they'll be done by Sharad Prabhuji, who is right here. So Prabhuji, before I go further, can you give can you introduce briefly, please, Sharad Prabhuji?
Thank you, Prabhuji. There is actually nothing much about me. I served in the Indian Army for about 34 years, retired in 2011. Until then, I did not have any formal training on the spiritual side, but I had studied Bhagavad Gita and many other books like Jiva Goswami's Tattva Sandarbha I had studied, and Bhakti Vinod Thakur's his many books I had studied by then. But after I retired, then under Charu Prabhuji, I attended so many courses starting from the Sandarbha classes, the 6 Sandarbhas that took almost 3 years. And thereafter, many courses he has already explained. And I am a disciple of His Holiness Radha Govinda Maharaj. And I have been helping Charu Prabhuji in taking some of the classes here, like what has been told to you. Basically, I will be in this Jaiva Dharma. The Dasamula Tattva, it is a very 10 esoteric truths. They are actually written in when Bhakti Vinod Thakur has written, he has written these books in Bengali, but when they have been translated into English, they are quite difficult to understand. But we'll be putting them up to our devotees in the simplest manner, simplest possible manner. And I don't have much experience, but since Charu Prabhuji has put his trust on me, I am doing my best. I'll be trying my best to come up to his expectations. And I want all your help, all your criticism also. Please don't think that if you criticize or if you point out a mistake, that is going to be a Vaishnava Prada. No, that will help me in improving myself. That's what I have to say. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Sharad Prabhuji. The rest of you and Prahlad Prabhuji. Sharad Prabhuji is too modest. He is a very extensively well-read personality. Lot of books he reads all the time, and in a question and answer format. And when he conducts his own classes, remember I told you that division 2 and 3 will be conducted by him. You will see the examples of that. He's a very well-read personality, deep insights of Krishna consciousness that will all be benefited. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So let me continue. So this is the, like I said, the 40 chapters, and I'm not going to go through everything, but this will sort of give you an example, some sense of how different subject matters are being discussed in this book. Okay. Next slide. So here there are 40 chapters we'll do in 48 lessons, right? So this is the first division. There'll be 17 lessons. There is 12 chapters. First lesson is of course today's lesson. So course will start beginning next weekend. Okay. So first we will have some idea of what is this Nitya Dharma and what is this Naimitika Dharma. Nitya Dharma is of course the one that we are talking about, Vaishnava Dharma, especially what is the duty of the spirit soul and which is eternal, permanent, whereas Naimitika Dharma are tend to be right on a material platform, so it's temporary. Lesson 3, Jiva's eternal nature as Nitya Dharma. The soul's eternal nature is to engage in this Nitya Dharma. And that Naimitika Dharma is to be relinquished or renounced. Why? Because it is incomplete, mixed with objectionable elements, and it is temporary in nature. Lesson 6, Vaishnava Dharmas in Nitya Dharma. So Vaishnava Dharma is itself is an example of what a Nitya Dharma ought to be. Then this Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti is actually an example of Nitya Dharma and not Naimitika Dharma, not this, because that happens to be in a material platform. Nitya Dharma, what has its relationship here is, this is again discussed about the race and the caste system. In that context, we'll be hearing about how Nitya Dharma is related to that. Then Nitya Dharma about the Grihastha Dharma, Grihastha Ashrama, and how we ought to conduct as a Grihastha in the material world while being engaged in this Nitya Dharma. Very important lesson, actually. Then Nitya Dharma and this material life, how do we balance it? That we are going to learn something different, because we have to make a living, but that is not our main dharma. So how do we conduct Nitya Dharma? And while still, because we have this material body, how do we balance that? Some important pointers are there in this book. Okay, and then Nitya Dharma and this material science and civilization. So there are some very controversial topics this book handles, actually. Some important questions, some controversial questions that arise, and this book is bold enough to tackle those controversial topics also. It's quite enlightening, actually. Then Nitya Dharma in regard to the history, and that we will also tackle. We will hear from this book. Then Nitya Dharma and deity worship, how they are interrelated. That is the important integral part of our Nitya Dharma, the deity seva. Then, of course, Sadhana Bhakti. We'll see both Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, all these things we'll see. So this constitute the first 17 lessons, okay? First division. Now the second division, that is, I told you, this is Dasamula Tattva, and that will be conducted by Sharat Prabhuji. And that's a very, very important segment of this book and thereby the course. So please pay attention. And I couldn't think of any better personality than Sharat Prabhuji, given his vast knowledge about the principles of Vaishnava Siddhanta, So Sambandha Gyana, Abhideya, Prayojana, all these things we are going to hear about that. And how Jiva conditioned by Maya, in what roles. Then this Jiva's freedom from Maya, how do we get that? How we become liberated from this Maya's three modes of material nature while being engaged in Nitya Dharma. Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Abhiday Tattva, and of course, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti in that context. Okay. And then Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, as I told you, then commencement of Prayojan Tattva. So all these things will be done in lessons 18 to 30. And then, of course, Nama Tattva, very important segment of it. We already learned so much in this Prema Vivarta course. Okay, this is the last segment is Rasa Tattva. As I told you, we did tackle in Sri Ujjwal Nilamani Priti Sandarbha, Radha Tattva, to some extent in this Madhurya Kadambini also we understood that. But here it's going to be great, get into the much greater nitty-gritty details about the Rasa Tattva. So I'm not going to go through that. All of you are very, very familiar about Rasa Tattva, so we'll go in great details, all this thing. So that will be conducted in lessons 34 to 48. So that will conclude the course. Hare Krishna. So now, any questions or what you hope to learn, what you're looking forward? So please share with us, both with me and Sharad Prabhuji. So when we conduct, so we'll keep in that our mind to really satisfy your desire also. Okay. So this is, my courses are always very, very flexible, given the particular audience that I'm addressing. So please feel free. So we have nearly 30 minutes, and that is both Sharad Prabhuji and I always endeavor to reserve the last 30 minutes for this extensive discussion. So many times we learn more in this exchange of these questions. The book itself is question answer format, right? So you ask some probing questions that will, from the questions I learned myself, actually, you know, and the class becomes very livelier. So please, we both of us, we encourage very highly to come up with such probing questions. So when I share my PowerPoints with you, please go through that. So boundless, without doubt, you are going to come up with some very, very interesting questions. So we can all share and answer those questions, okay? Hari Bol. So please feel free. Okay?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. Thank you so much
Right, Prabhu.
for
Thank
a
you so
wonderful.
much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Sharad Prabhu, and all the devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhu, thank you so much for another milestone. We are ready now for the hearing from you, the Jaiva Dharmas. I have a question that I know that Jaiva, why that word Jaiva is coming? Why not Dharma? I understood, Prabhu, and it is the responsibility of the living entity. That's what you already summarized in your PPT also and your explanation. Why that Jaiva is referring to Jivas, or that is what I have a confusion, Prabhu. Could you please elaborate on that one?
Basically,
Thank
it
you,
is Dharma of a Jivas, and Jiva means soul.
Okay.
So Naimic Dharma happens to be for our bodily conception, but the soul's ultimate, what is soul's Dharma, that is what we are going to learn. And I'm not going to elaborate right in the, this is just a introduction, right? So
yes.
Wait until we get into it, and we are going to get into it with such great details, you know.
Yes.
The whole course is about that Jaiva Dharma, the Dharma or the duties of the soul, spirit soul. We are part and parcel of Shri Krishna, and we are meant to serve Krishna. So that is ought to be our Dharma, our duty, our religion.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So you don't think it, Dharma means don't think it as from the religious point of view. Okay? It's really the duty.
Yes.
That's our engagement. That is what you have to think about that. So and then in comparison to what is Naimitika Dharma, which is temporary and more applied to our bodily situation, you know. So that regards, and body is temporary, soul is eternal, you know. So in that regard, we are going to see. So I think I've said enough as in a part of the introduction, but we are going to, the whole book is all about that. So many different aspects of it. Thank you, Raj.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, thank you so much. From my point of view, I will be expecting here, you know, so we always refer this quote from the Mahabharata. Ahara nidra bhayamaitunam cha samanam hi itadira naranam. Dharmo itesham adhiko vishesam dharmena hina pashubira samana. I always use this verse in the introductory sessions. This is the extension of the Jiva's responsibility. We am waiting to hear from you, Prabhu. from this book. Thank you.
You got it right. Exactly
Thank
that.
you,
It's on that principle. Shall Prabhuji, you want to add something to that? What I already answered to Raju Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, the more of it will be learning during the course. This is the soul's, what is the dharma of the soul, not the body, and how the difference between the nitya dharma and the nimitika dharma. And here, please remember one thing, that we will be learning so many things, and we will be learning that certain things are right, certain things are not right. But certain sampradayas, they are practicing that. Let them practice. We'll follow what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told us to do in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. There is no question of any disagreeing or criticizing any other sampradaya, or even in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya or others. There are many differences. So just keep that in mind. We should keep in mind that this has been taught to us by one of the greatest acharyas in our parampara, and it has originated from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why it is correct. We are not saying others are wrong or something like this. Let them practice what they are practicing. But this is going to a very great knowledge, and more of it will be explained in the first class itself. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prahlad Prabhuji, are you still there? Prahlad Prabhuji? Okay, he left, I think. Okay, any other questions, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Prabhuji, we are
Yes,
eagerly
Prabhuji.
waiting to hear from you and Sarat Prabhuji. Prabhuji, please, श्री प्रेमादास बाबा जी के बारे में और कुछ बताइए ना
प्रभु. You are going to hear in the next class, right? When the course starts next weekend, particularly in a sense. I'm giving a great introduction to Premandas Babaji, who is the principal character in this fictional novel, you know. But right now, if I say more, it's a really introduction.
Prabhuji, what is the meaning of fictional novel?
I'm Sukiro.
Fictional novel na શું મતલબ છે?
Fictional novel. Fictional means imaginary, not real.
આ પાત્ર છે imaginary છે પ્રભુ?
It's an imaginary character. It's an imaginary character. But through these imaginary characters, the whole concept of Vaishnava Siddhanta is being introduced. So it's a very novel way, a very innovative way on the part of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur to give us the science of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. That is very, I found it very interesting way in a question and answer format, and a very interesting way these two personalities meet. How this Premandas Babaji really explains, and in his own way, actually, he does that. You know, we all know the answers to many of the questions, right? Having participated in so many courses, but we are going to hear the same thing, but from a very different perspective, a very unique perspective of this particular principal character. You know, that is what I found it so interesting. So please,
प्रभुजी, तो भक्ति विनोदा ठाकुर ने इनका मतलब प्रेमादास बाबा जी को फ्रिक्शनल कैरेक्टर बनाया, तो उनके द्वारा हमें सब समझा रहे. तो जो प्रेम विवर्त जो पढ़ते थे, तो मतलब भक्ति विनोदा ठाकुर ही पढ़ते थे, ऐसा हुआ?
Yeah, actually, he mentioned right in this book, this principal character. Every day he used to recite Prema Vivarta. So that clearly indicates, actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Prema Vivarta, there is a controversy. Some people think that it was actually written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You know, there is a controversy about that. Of course, it was originally written by Jagadananda Prabhu, but actually in a formal way, the book that was given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Now again, there's a controversy, I'm telling you. It may not necessarily be a fact, but nonetheless, so from that perspective, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, basically whatever he learned from Prema Vivarta, he is introducing this character and all the basic principles given in Prema Vivarta. From that perspective, he's explaining all this wide range of subject matter actually, and obviously the views, personal viewpoints of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also comes across to my understanding actually. Sharad Prabhuji, please feel free to chime in, okay? If you want to give some additional comments, we would very much welcome that. Sharad Prabhuji, please share whatever the answer I give.
Yes,
Anything more.
Prabhuji, you are very, very right. You are very right. And this book has been written in a very interesting manner. And those who read the actual book also, they will find interesting. And in the classes will be very, very interesting because they will also be in the question answer form, the question answered by the question asked by the student and how it is answered. And very nicely and in very simple terms, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has tried to put forward so that it can be understood by everybody. But the advantage with us is that we have gone through so many courses, we have got the basic knowledge and they will get strengthened here. That's why I'll request everybody to make notes and come prepared with a lot of questions, and very, very simple doubts. They'll also have, they'll also be answered during the class, and that will be very, very interesting. So whatever time is there, please go through them. You don't have to even buy the book. The books are even available online or free of cost. The soft copies are available in the ISKCON Directory also. So that's why if you spend some time, that will be much more useful and beneficial for the devotees. And the understanding will be far better. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So
Hare Krishna.
some of the answers we already may know, but it's given from a special perspective of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in a very interesting manner, interesting way. He has a particular way of presenting this science of Gaudiya Sampradaya, that we will see that. You will see that then. Okay? Yes, who was asking a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Myself, Prabhu.
Yeah, Raju Prabhu, yes.
Prabhu,
Yeah.
just wondering, I always, when we are talking with Bhaktivinoda Thakur, though he is a seventh Goswami, Saptama Goswami,
Yeah.
but he accepted the spiritual master from the other Sampradaya. How we can understand this one, Prabhu? Could you please elaborate on this one? Hare Krishna.
I don't know much about it. Maybe Sharad Prabhuji can answer that.
It is something like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also took up a spiritual master, who is from the Sampradaya, that is Shankara Sampradaya. That is, their thoughts are exactly opposite of what we follow in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So that is how the things are. They are the eternal associates of the Supreme Lord. Like we saw, he was a Manjari in the Krishna Leela. So that is their Leela. They want to show or prove certain things to all of us. There is actually a book, Seventh Goswami. One should read about the Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It is given in very great detail, about I think 250 to 300 pages. It gives total things about Bhaktivinoda Thakur and how it developed, what he was. I can take about 5-7 minutes about Bhaktivinoda Thakur also. We are discussing the daily schedule of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Actually, in a day, he never slept more than 3 to 4 hours in a day. And in writing, he used to spend about 8 hours in a day, and japa or studies, he used to spend about 4.5 hours, and work means he was a judge in the court only in Jagannath Puri. At that time, he wrote most of his books. And if you study the seventh Goswami, there are many stories, the Leela of Bhakti Vinod Thakur that you'll find there. And very roughly, I want to tell certain things about Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And we learned in 1838. He was born, and his name at that time was Kedarnath Datta. And from in the childhood, he spent his time in the maternal grandfather's house. Then in around 1949, when he was about 11 years old, his father passed away, and he was when he was about 12 years old in 1850, his mother arranged his marriage with the 5-year-old daughter of Madhusudan Mitra there in Bengal. In 1856, at the age of about 18 years, he entered the college in Calcutta. And then in 1858, he found his native, he came back to his native village. And in 1861, Kedarnath Datta, he accepted the post of deputy magistrate in the government of Bengal. Actually, at that time, Bihar, Bengal, and Odisha, they used to be one state. That's why we may be talking about Bengal, but that includes Bihar and Odisha also. Later on, he came, he got transferred to Jagannath Puri, and at Jagannath Puri, he was the administrator of the Jagannath Puri Jagannath temple. In 1873, he came to, he was already in Odisha. Then if you read in the seventh Goswami, there is a story of a person named Vishikesana, how he was trying to create havoc in the society by claiming to be Lord Vishnu himself, Mahavishnu, and how Bhakti Vinod Thakur was deputed by the British to deal with him.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I think this is an introductory class. We don't want to go into great details.
Yes.
So because otherwise, because this 30 minutes I want to devote to the questions from the students.
Okay.
I think let's get what is their expectation.
Yes.
That's what I'm into. I'm very curious to find out what is the expectation for devotees, you know.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Like Raju Prabhu is a good example. He shared with us what he was expecting, what he's expecting from us, you know. So I would like to hear from the rest of you also. Because we have only 10 minutes left now, you know.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Prabhuji, I want to know more about the Sambandha Jnana, Abhideh Jnana, and last one is Prayojan Jnana in full, complete detail.
Yeah, you are going to hear the great
more
details.
And more.
And that's why I assigned these topics to Sharat Prabhuji for a particular reason for that, you know. He is the right person to talk about such great details about that. And because of his vast reading, you know, and these are the fundamentals of Vaishnava Siddhanta, especially from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you know.
So it's sharpen our brain also.
Yeah, Sharat Prabhuji, can you give a brief, a very short introduction in 5 minutes?
Yes. The Sambandha, Abhideh, and Prayojana, very roughly, Sambandha means what is the Sambandha, what is the relationship of the Jiva, of the soul with the Supreme Lord. And we know it very well, it is given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita the Jiva is a eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. That is the Sambandha. And Abhideya, it is how he is to reach the Supreme Lord. It is by bhakti only. There is no other way. We have seen this in so many courses. The only way to reach the Supreme Lord Krishna is by bhakti only. And what that bhakti means, we will be learning about this in the Dasamula Tattva. And Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana. What is the ultimate aim? Ultimate aim is to obtain Krishna Prema only and nothing else, because anything else is temporary and it is not beneficial to us. So basically on these three things, all these classes, they'll elaborate on these three things in very, very great detail, and the complete understanding will be there. That's why I'll request, if you have got any doubt whatsoever, please write them down, and whenever we take the class, you please ask them if they have not been cleared. And that's how the things will happen. And don't wait till the class is conducted, then start thinking. Rather, start thinking now only what all doubts I have, and if they don't get cleared, then you ask them, get cleared. Because whatever you have learned till now, what we are going to cover in this course, it will be a gist of all that. That means anything and everything. You want to know about Lord Shiva, you want to know about how Islam is different from Hinduism, all these things and anything you can think of, they are given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this book. It is a very, very great thing. I have not seen such a book by anybody else. And all these things will come in greater detail later on. That's why I'll request, please note down all your questions from now onwards and come to the class with all those questions. And there is enough time, even we can spend 40 minutes also in question answer form if the need arises. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, Rakshamataji, stay tuned. You are going to hear so much. And many of these topics we already
Prabhuji,
dealt
thank you
with
so
in
much.
other courses.
I will note down the question.
Yeah, many of these topics we already dealt with other courses, but here we are going to hear still something new from a special perspective, from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's perspective that we are going to hear. Remember, it's an interesting, I also thought quite a bit, why did he introduce the main character as Babaji, from a Babaji Pranali, you know? And that's quite different from our Bhakti, from our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Bhakti, what is it called? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sampradaya, you know, Gaudiya Sampradaya, yes. Why he chose that? That also question that crossed my mind, you know, and I feel Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted to give from a broad perspective, and from even the Babaji Pranali, which is quite different from the sannyasis we have in our Sampradaya, Gaudiya Sampradaya. Of course, they are also Vaishnava, no doubt about it, naturally. And this book is all about the depiction of what a Vaishnava, a true Vaishnava ought to be. In fact, right from beginning, second, third lessons, you are going to hear so much about it, okay? But there's a fair degree of introduction of this principal character and the secondary character of the sannyasi from the Mayavadi philosophy that we are going to hear right early on, you know, beginning with the lesson 2 onwards, you know. So hold your horses, okay? Rakshamataji, hold your horses.
Yes, Prabhuji. Sure, sure.
But I appreciate.
Waiting.
I admire and I appreciate your inquisitiveness. You know, that shows the great interest. You know, thank you. Any other questions, points?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanavad Pranam.
Samantha Mataji, yes.
Prabhuji, so nice beginning of the course. Like how Sharad Prabhuji said that all the topics, the different, even controversial topics will be covered in this course.
Exactly.
I wanted to know, Prabhuji, I have basically no knowledge how we as Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya are different from other Sampradayas. And is the bhakti the fundamental objective in other Sampradayas also? Or is it only in the lineage of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And basically very ignorant about the Sampradaya part. So will that also be covered in Jaiva Dharma?
One other thing that especially from now that you asked this question, I'm going to share with you my own personal reflections, okay? And there are 4 basic Vaishnava Sampradayas, as you all know, right? And there are 4 spiritual masters on each Sampradaya, you know. Sri Sampradaya is one of the oldest one, you know. What I gather in other Sampradayas, it's not very clear exactly because some of them, they're all Vaishnava Sampradayas and they all study the same scriptures. Srimad Bhagavad Mahapurana, they also study in all this thing, okay? And still there is a controversy about whether Krishna came first or Lord Vishnu came first, okay? So Sri Sampradaya worship Lakshmi Narayan as a primary, predominantly, and Krishna as his incarnation, 8th incarnation. And we discussed this controversial topic dealt very effectively by Srila Jiva Goswami in his Krishna Sandarbha, right? We dealt with that. So there is one hallmark of Gaudiya Sampradaya. There is no khichdi, okay? We have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very clear concept, very clear understanding. Shri Krishna is the supreme personality Godhead, the original personality Godhead. Okay, that is very clear. That is not found in any other sampradayas. Yes, there is a little bit similarity from. That's why it is called because our sampradaya started with Lord Brahma. You know, Sri Sampradaya is Lakshmi Devi. You know, like that. Kumar Sampradaya and Shiva Sampradaya is there. So that is the one hallmark of our Sampradaya, is that very clear understanding that is Krishna ought to be our Prayojana. That is very clearly mentioned that, okay? And we focus only on that aspect of it. And Bhakti is also very clearly mentioned. That is the only way we attain the Supreme Personality Godhead, Shri Krishna. Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati, right? So again, and we are coming very close to the end of this class. So as a way of introduction, I particularly like that. But even in this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, there are many branches right there. And this Babaji Pranali even exists today also, actually. Some of this and the books that I use in Sandarbhas, I took it from this personality who's also from Babaji, actually. So we should not criticize unfairly. They are there. And why Bhaktivinoda Thakur chose that this personality is Babaji, that's also kind of intriguing, you know. And I'll hold on until we complete the course, okay? But basically, the goal of Bhaktivinoda Thakur is really to introduce us and to really remove any misgivings about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Gaudiya Sampradaya that he established. That is very clear cut. So Babaji Pranali, they also follow the path of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But that is different, okay? Haribol.
प्रभु जी, I want to tell you one point. प्रभु जी, मैंने
Okay.
ऐसा सुना है कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने सारे संप्रदाय में से दो प्रिंसिपल्स लिए हैं ये गौड़ीय संप्रदाय में. मैंने मेरे शिक्षा गुरु से यह सुना है कि एवरी संप्रदाय में से दो प्रिंसिपल लिए. तो इसीलिए जो हमारा संप्रदाय है वो बहुत ही मतलब कहते हैं ना कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु का है. दैट्स व्हाई उसमें क्लैरिटी बहुत है, मतलब ऐसा मैंने सुना।
No, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was he didn't take it from other sampradayas like that. His main thing, as we all know, chanting of the holy name, and he established as a Yuga Dharma. That is unique contribution, gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that is found nowhere else. Sharad Prabhuji, correct me if I'm wrong that.
Yes, Prabhuji. Actually, all these things are correct. If you say Rama is original, or Narayana is original, or Krishna is original, if you think of different perspectives, they are all right also. How? There is no time to discuss. I can give you the examples given in Srimad Bhagavatam, spoken by the gopis, in other Puranas, what Krishna himself has said, like this, and all these contradictory things, actually they have been resolved by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by the Achintya Veda Tattva. With that theory, that will come up also in Jaiva Dharma, how the things are combined.
But what is his unique contribution that's found nowhere else?
Yes, it is the Achintya Veda Tattva.
No, that's not chanting of the holy name. That is his gift.
Yes.
Chanting of the holy name as a Yuga Dharma, that is unique to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nowhere else.
Yes.
Okay. Any other point? Since we are almost exhausted our time. Okay, Saga Prabhu, I think we will continue, okay? And I welcome all these questions, okay? No matter how controversial could be, we should talk and discuss about it, okay? Haribol. So, Saga Prabhu, let's conclude the class.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obsession. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Narasimhai. Namaste Narasimhai. Prahlada Dahine. Prahlada Dahine. Hiranyakasi Purvakshar. Hiranyakasi Purvakshar. Shilatankar Nathale. Shilatankar Nathale. Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha, Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha, Ito Yami, Ito Narsingha, Ito Yami, Ito Narsingha, By Narsingha, Hriday Narsingha, By Narsingha, Hriday Narsingha, Narasingha Madin Saranam Prapade, Narasingha Madin Saranam Prapade. Tavakala Kamala Bhari Nakhadbhuta Singham Dharita Hiranyakashipur Tanubringam Kesavadhita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Tavakala Kamala Bhari Nakhadbhuta Singham Dalita Hiranyakashipur Tanubringam Kesavadhita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय, भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, चरण प्रभु की जय, शरद प्रभु की जय, गुरुदेव की जय, ऑल assembled devotee की जय। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण चरण प्रभु, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Dhanavad Pranam Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Saga Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All glory to Sri Prabhupada, all glory to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glory to the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, all glory to all the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. So we look forward to seeing you all with full attendance, at least 12 to 15, all of you. In the next beginning next class. It's going to be a very, very comprehensive course, okay? And lot you are going to learn, new things you will learn. even though this topic sounds very familiar, you are going to learn from a new perspectives in which the author introduces us. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Sharad
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Bye-bye, Sarita.
Dandavat
Thank you very much. Thank you, class.
Thank you, Sharad Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.